Good morning, Mountains. We are live here. I'm in Warfield, Kentucky. Darryl McCoy here from the great state of the Bluegrass State. And then over in the Mountaineer State, in West Virginia, we got JJ Pruitt. JJ, good morning.
Good morning to you, my friend. Did you get some rest last night?
I actually did get a little bit of rest, but it ended up not working out too good. First of all, where's our main man Bradley at?
Man, that is a very good question. We're going to have to do a little bit of research and see if we can find him because, the show isn't really the same unless we got him with us. We're more like the big three now.
Yeah, we see Coach Corey Thacker tuning in. We're going to have to bring Coach on. Coach, message us when you got free time. We'll have to bring you on the show here. But yesterday, I ended up, JJ, we thought we had a volleyball game, so we broke all this equipment down as soon as the show was over and loaded up. Well, I got heading to the volleyball game, and they was like, oh, the one you're wanting to cover is on Wednesday. And so I forgot, by not having to, cover the volleyball game, I wasn't even thinking about the equipment in the back of the vehicle. And this morning, luckily, I got some sleep and got up early today. And I come down, I was on my game. I was like, I'm gonna get down there, get our topics ready, get going. And I was like, man. And when I come down, no equipment was here. And I was like, so I ended up spending an hour this morning setting equipment back up. And so it's been a hectic morning, JJ.
Well, in spite of it being a hectic morning, it's still going to eventually turn into a great morning because we have a terrific show for everybody. And, we want to thank everybody that's already tuned in.
We got Hazard Coach Matt Chandler joining us at 8:30. And JJ, today is August 20th. Can you tell us what happened this day in history?
We got a couple of interesting things that happened on this day in history. We've got a couple of good moments, and then we got a couple of dark moments. So we'll start with the first dark moment. We're going to go with the year was 1619. And in 1619, it is thought that enslaved people were first brought to the English colony of Jamestown, Virginia, which is, it's sad that, that happened. But, at the end of the day, that's a moment in history that we can't forget. And, it's good to educate people about all the good and all the bad.
Tough situation there, as enslaved people come to America. And, luckily, after a couple wars and stuff, we abolished the Slavery Act. And, now we're good to go, JJ.
Absolutely. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go with the year 1868, which is, on the piggyback of the slave times, we got President Andrew Johnson eventually accepted Texas's agreement to abolish slavery. So, the first moment in history was, a sad one, but this ends up being a positive one, which is, I'm really thankful that actually happened.
So you're a big President Harris fan, right?
I was just the abolition of slavery is where I was going.
Oh.
Because I don't know too much about them, That's one thing I need to do is try to educate myself better on what all these presidents did. Because, these historical rankings we were talking about not too long ago where they ranked the greatest presidents ever, I think they need to redo those lists a little bit.
I do too.
But we're going to go with the year 1920, which was actually the year that the National Football League was officially formed.
Oh, wow. So August 20th, 1920, NFL starts, and NFL kicking off in a couple weeks here. So very excited for that one, JJ. And
I've actually got one more piece of history for you. Now, this is another dark one. I wasn't sure if you was familiar with this, but in the year was 1989, where the Menendez brothers murdered their parents.
Yes, that one of the biggest stories in American history. And it's really sad whenever you go and when you look into that story and, everything that went on and, how it happened, there's, a lot of debate on whether they was abused and, they did it or whether, they're trying to pull the wool over people's eyes. But very dark moment in history, August 20th, Mendez brothers. So JJ, today, birthdays, celebrity birthdays. What you got for us?
Now, we got a couple of good birthdays. Do you by any chance know who Andrew Garfield is?
I do.
It's his birthday today. We've got the young lady Demi Lovato, very talented singer. We've got my main man Don King, only in America, one of the best promoters ever. We've got my man Isaac Hayes. For those that don't know who he is, he's the guy that did the Shaft theme song, and he's also famous for being chef on South Park.
Okay.
And then last but not least, this is my favorite one, Fred Durst.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
There you go, Fred Durst.
Now, if I was going to see a band live, like Limp Bizkit would probably be one of my first choices.
Well, I can't. When I think Limp Bizkit, I can't ever unsee their Woodstock performance.
Oh, 1999. That's one place I would have loved to have been. Like, even though after watching the documentary how brutal it was for a lot of people, I still would have loved to have seen it.
I'd like to see him and Kid Rock in person in that one. So let's go over to Facebook. Let's see. We got a lot of birthdays. We got Rico Perez, good friend from Pikeville. We got Clyde Dingus, one of our biggest fans. Happy birthday, Clyde. We got Abigail Pachacho, the Coach Pachacho's wife. Landry Collette, Leslie County QB. We've had him on the show. So happy birthday, Landry. And last but not least, we got the reigning 15th Region Player of the Year. Happy birthday, Aiden Barnett. So good birthdays today, JJ.
Yeah, terrific. Happy birthday again to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So, JJ, as we're getting started today, I'm kind of proud of myself. I'm always like when I'm arguing with somebody or something, I always walk away and I'm like, man, I wish I would have said that to him, or I wish I'd have done this, and, but I'm not always quick-witted. And yesterday, I ended up getting into an argument at Panther Mart when we left here. Got in an argument. So, I walked in the store, wasn't anybody in the store, and except for a chip guy that was unloading chips back at the back rack. So I walked in, wasn't a car in the parking lot, walked in, and I went to the bathroom, closed the door, done my business, peed, and I was sitting there peeing, and all of a sudden somebody opened the door on me. And I said, somebody's in here. And so finished my business, and I walked out. There's this woman sitting with her arm on the rack. She had short hair. I hate to, and I don't even know if this word's politically correct. I don't know what words they like to use, but, she was kind of dockish, had like the butch haircut. And
did she have the Karen cut?
No, it wasn't a Karen cut. It was just looked like like a boy's haircut. But she was sitting there, a little short, chubby woman. And when I walked out, she said, "You don't make it a habit of locking doors, do you?" I said, "About as much as you make it a habit of knocking on doors." And wasn't over there was I looked over to my left, and there was a man and a woman standing there. And I take it that the guy might have been either her sister or her husband. And the mom's probably the mom, the old woman. And he said, "Don't talk to my wife like that." And I said, "Buddy," I said, "everybody needs a little A, but nobody needs a smart A." And
Wow.
Then the chip guy started dying laughing. And I walked by him, and I said, I don't know what to show upset about. I said, "She's probably packing the same thing I am." And but he busted out laughing. Well, them three ganged up on him and was demanding that he tell them who he worked for. And the people Panther Mart ended up having to walk back there and, calm things down. But yeah, tough situation there yesterday.
Well, I'm proud of the way that you handled yourself. I'm proud that you stood up for yourself. And I'm also proud of how quick-witty you was with your words yesterday. I mean, have you been watching some good comedies lately, or where did that come from?
I honestly don't know where it come from, but I was proud of myself whenever I walked out of there.
I'm proud of you too. Not only did you take up for yourself, but you humbled those people in the process. I mean, there's no need for people to be like that in public. I mean, there's just some people out there that, you can't take them anywhere because they just don't know how to conduct themselves.
They don't, and I'm normally one of them people.
No,
but we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then when we come back, we got some big news happening in the mountains yesterday. We'll be right back here on the D&D Sports Network Startup Morning Show. Winning tire shop that focuses on customer service that's family owned and family operated. Stop by and see our friends Jeremy and Chasta at Punk's Tires. If you have a hectic work schedule and you're looking for a non-stressful, convenient way to buy tires, take advantage of Punk's Tires appointment Saturdays. If they don't have the tire you're looking for, they guarantee it to have it the next day. Punk's Tires can take care of all your needs in tires, wheels, wheel alignments, brakes, rotors, minor mechanic work, and more. They'll treat you like family from the second you walk through the door. Come see us in Virgie, Kentucky, or give us a call at 606-639-TIRE. That's 606-639-TIRE.
Now available at Kentucky Mountain Health Alliance Little Flower Dental Clinic. Same day crowns. No more temporary impressions and wearing temporary crowns. Same day crowns. Now available at Little Flower Dental Clinic. We also offer cleanings, fillings, extractions, root canals, and bridges. Call for an appointment today at 487-9505. We accept most major insurances, Medicare and Medicaid, and even a sliding fee scale. Little Flower Clinic, your medical home in the mountains.
And we are back here on the Startup Morning Show. JJ Pruitt, Darryl McCoy here. Guys, don't forget, 8:30, Matt Chandler, Hazard Bulldog head football coach, will be joining us. I'm excited for that one, JJ.
I'm excited for it as well. I mean, I love having a different coach on here each and every day. It gives me the opportunity to learn about him. And I'm really curious to hear, his story as well.
Well, this segment is brought to you courtesy of our friends at Punk's Tires. Listen, don't be a punk. Buy your tires from Punk's Tires. You'll see Jeremy Pinson and Chasta. They will get your vehicle road ready, JJ. That great crew there, great service, great pricing. They got everything you need for your vehicle. And listen, while you're there waiting, the thing that they take pride in is, they're like, a lot of women don't feel comfortable going to getting their cars worked on because they're sitting in an office with office full of men. And, they're normally, you go there any given time, Jeremy's wife's there, they make sure they're female friendly there. And the big thing is in the mornings, they got the big flat screen up now watching the Startup Morning Show. So big shout out to our friends at Punk's Tires.
Hands down, the best tire man in the business. I mean, if you want good Southern hospitality, you want your tires fixed, and you also want a little bit of entertainment with the morning startup show, man, that's the perfect place to go to.
Janice Roden says, good morning, guys. Good morning, Janice Roden. As we're tuning in, guys, don't forget we are live on Facebook and YouTube. So for the folks, if you're wanting if you got in front of your smart TV and you're wanting to stream us a little bit easier, just go to your YouTube app and you can find us on there, or you can watch us stream us on Facebook, JJ. So, JJ, as we're going to sit here, I've got to having a technical issue here.
Well, while you're having this technical issue, I'll take over for you. Let's see, are you having mic issues or charger issues? Or
Yeah, we had to charge the laptop there. So as we're going, guys, big news coming out of the mountains yesterday. Shout out and this is probably my favorite story I've ever covered on this show. So
I can't wait.
Yeah, well, Let's go. Jackson Estridge picks up a big offer from Kentucky Christian University, his first offer. And, JJ, I couldn't be more happy for this young man. He's put in the work, and this is a dream come true for him.
Well, I couldn't be more happier myself because, like, I think back to whenever I was in high school and when I went to high school with his mother and she was she was pregnant with him at the time. And then now that he's fast forward 17, 18 years later, he's getting a college offer. It's almost like, well, he's kind of like family to me because,
Yeah.
that's how I consider all my friends at Belfry. So, like, seeing one of their children, go on to have these opportunities, I mean, it feels good for me. It makes me feel old, but I can't tell you how happy I am. I mean, he's the definition of a true underdog. To me, he's the best two-way player in the region. And I really think that he's going to get a lot more offers. And I can't wait to see, who sends him a letter in the mail.
Yeah, I think this was, I think that opened the floodgates. A lot of people, I think, was holding their reserve on him because, I think a couple things, was causing college coaches to kind of be hesitant in offering him. I think one thing is he don't have a big resume, because he played a little bit his sophomore year, very, very little. He was on a senior-laden team. Then his sophomore to junior years when he went to work that summer, and he said he wanted to show his coach that he was the best player on the team. Well, he worked relentlessly. And that next season, I don't think, most people would say he was probably top 2 player on the team. And, that's definitely as far as importance because, the way that he played on both sides of the basketball and his energy was really what got Prestonsburg going. Well, they started out 14-5. And then for reasons unknown, the coach decided to mess that stuff up. And, 14-5 was on a 7-game win streak, and then they benched him. And now this kid putting crazy numbers up was probably the second most consistent player on the team. Benched him, and no hard feelings. It's coach's decision, and it is what it is. But so his numbers went from averaging 14.5 to getting cut in half. And his minutes got cut in half. Well, we ended up leaving Prestonsburg, went to Martin County. Listen, great experience there. Nothing bad to say about there. He had a great summer, come out first game, dropped 25. And then, we ended up taking, talking with the coach. I think it was a mutual splitting. And then, the stuff happened with Jackson's grandma. And so he ended up having to go over to Belfry. And so a lot of people's like, this kid must be a problem, this kid must be this, his parents must be a problem, because he's been at 3 schools in 6 months. And but they don't understand the situation going on with his grandma. They don't understand the situation behind the scenes. Nobody knows that stuff. So the college coaches, I'm sure there's question marks, and his resume ain't what it should be because of the benching halfway through the year, and or the coming off the bench halfway through the year. And so there is a lot of question marks, but him getting that offer yesterday, I think, will open up a ton, because all you got to do is meet the kid, and you can tell that this kid is no problem, at all. He's probably the second hardest worker in the mountains. And,
oh, sorry, I thought you was done.
And so it was a big get for him yesterday. Whenever I got the news, I was sitting over and I was going to MGC Supply to see our friends over there, and he sent me the text, and just to see the work that kid went through, and all the days when he's like, I'm never going to get offered. I don't know why these guys won't offer me. I go to these camps, I do what they say. And one thing I liked about the KCU camp is normally when you go there, everybody always says, pass the ball, make sure you pass the ball. Don't play hero ball. And of course, my son's one of the only ones that ever does what they're told to, and at these camps. And But this guy here, I could tell he stopped camp in the middle and told the kids, he's like, listen, he's like, you're not going to get any offers if you're just coming down firing up shots. So I could tell that Coach Pack done things the right way, and just a big day for us.
Jackson, he's the definition of like an uncut gem, a diamond in the rough, a kid that flies under the radar. I mean, and to me, I think a really good head coach or a really good recruiter would look at somebody like him and be like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go a little bit deeper into this story to figure out exactly why he's going through what he's going through, like his story as far as like transferring from school to school, and just to see like, if it's a misunderstanding or if it's something that's not as bad as it seems, and he's one of them kids, like once you see him play, it's like, I gotta at least, go a little bit deeper into his story, because he's a really good player. He's somebody that's definitely going to help out a team, and,
that there's another kid. We'll go into that in a little bit, and definitely want to save that picked up an offer. And I want to talk about, how the area kids done at the camp. So make sure you stick around for that story. Don't forget, guys, here shortly we will have Hazard coach Matt Chandler join us. But, Ethan Cummings is on here, and he said, congratulations, Jackson. Literally come from the bottom to the top. Said the kid has a special work ethic. Super proud of him, and appreciate everything you've always done for him too, Ethan. Ethan's definitely helped along the journey. We appreciate everything that Ethan's done for Jackson. And speaking while we got Ethan, I definitely want to go ahead and give a big shout out. I went over yesterday, seen Trent Noah, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But the Jenkins football team, as you're sitting here looking, they was practicing when I come through. So I said, I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna go down and watch these little fellas practice. So I sat there for about an hour and a half watching these little fellas practice. I tell you what, this Jenkins football program, give them a few years, and they're going to have something special, because you could tell their coaches was right there putting in the work with these kids. They had the middle school and the Pee-wee there yesterday. Really liked what I seen, and couldn't be more ecstatic, because cities like Jenkins, football means a lot more than people think, because these towns don't have anything to do on Friday nights. So, whenever you see stuff like that, I mean, it just puts a lot more pressure on this program to succeed, because, you got to think, not just the kids, not just the parents, but this matters to the businesses in the community, because imagine them businesses, a lot of them lives off that money they make on Friday nights, or on, whether it's Friday nights, Tuesdays, whatever sport you're playing, people coming to town, in small towns like this, people don't understand how much school activities and athletic events mean to local businesses. So definitely was tickled to see what I seen yesterday there in Jenkins.
Absolutely. And I can't tell you like how happy it is for me to see like these coaches developing these middle school and Pee-wee kids. Because whenever I was a kid, all of these parents would basically just stack the teams to try to win a game instead of trying to develop the kids. Yeah. So, to be able to see these, head coaches take the time to really try to develop these kids and understand that, we got to make sure everybody's good for when they get older, because we're all going to be playing together, just to see that they're putting that extra effort to try to make these kids better. I mean, it's really nice to see.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, Hazard Bulldog head football coach Matt Chandler will be with us.
Walters Kia. By now, Kia is a great vehicle, and they come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. So why should you buy from Bruce Walters Kia? At Bruce Walters Kia, we're going to change your oil for free for life. And what you do with that money you save is up to you. Come check out the 2022 Kia Carnival and the 2021 Kia Sorento. Only at Bruce Walters Kia in Pikeville. Or shop us online at brucewalterskia.com.
In America, what does that mean? It means jobs. It means craftsmanship. And when it comes to Vaughan Bassett Furniture, it means value. And Kemper recognizes that. That's why they've dedicated an entire gallery to Vaughn Bassett. Made in America. See the quality. And now, see the price. Come see your favorite Kemper store in Hazard, London, or Somerset.
Now available at Kentucky Mountain Health Alliance Little Flower Dental Clinic. Same day crowns. No more temporary impressions and wearing temporary crowns. Same day crowns. Now available at Little Flower Dental Clinic. We also offer cleanings, fillings, extractions, root canals, and bridges. Call for an appointment today at 487-9505. We accept most major insurances, Medicare and Medicaid, and even a sliding fee scale. Little Flower Clinic, your medical home in the mountains.
And we are back here on the Startup Morning Show here with JJ Pruitt, Darryl McCoy, and we got special guest Coach Matt Chandler. Before we get to Coach Chandler, this segment brought to you courtesy of our friends at Kemper Furniture. If you're looking for furniture, go see Thomas Kemper and our friends in Hazard, Kentucky. They will make sure you can fill your home with furniture for great pricing. So, Coach Chandler, good morning, Coach.
Good morning, guys. How are you all this morning?
It's fabulous. Anytime we get to catch up with you, we're having a good morning, Coach.
We're doing all right over here. It's going to be, we were talking earlier, this first week is the longest week ever for everybody in the state of Kentucky. It feels like it just kind of drags on. It doesn't feel like it should be Tuesday morning.
Well, it's got to be a huge week for you in more than one ways. As you sit here, you know, your first game as an official head coach, you know, and not only that, you know, you come over from taking over a top 5 program in the mountains, you know, just kind of tell us, you know, the work that's went into getting you to this day.
Yeah, you know, we started in February, second week of February. We started with weights at 6:30 a.m. I was still in Frankfurt, so it was kind of a crazy schedule. I was, you know, taking some half days from school, and basically I was either driving from Frankfurt or to Frankfurt every day from Sunday to Thursday. So we started doing that, and then got into spring, and we had a pretty good numbers. We have our baseball guys in spring, you know, being 1A, that made it a little bit difficult, but we got some stuff done. Worked really hard in June, went 3 days a week in June, and our kids really put us way, way ahead of where we expected to be when we came back from the dead period. And from that point, it was 7-on-7 and finishing some things up and getting to that first scrimmage where we could start game planning and getting them used to what that looks like throughout the course of a week, getting ready for an opponent.
Well, Coach, I always let JJ ask first because I take his questions. So I'm going to let JJ have you first here.
Coach, first of all, I just want to say that it's a pleasure to meet you, and also congratulations on your first head coaching job. So this is your first head coaching job. Can you tell me what your background was prior to this? Were you an assistant coach with another school, or can you tell me about some of the people that may have took you under their wing to help you to, you know, how you got here today?
Yeah, you know, I've been an assistant at several schools, and most recently last year I was offensive coordinator at Franklin County High School in Frankfurt. I was there for 3 years. Before that, I was an assistant coach at Danville. Been at a couple of other places, and I've been really fortunate to work for a lot of head coaches who were, you know, I feel like I've picked up something from almost every head coach that I've worked for that I use every single day. You know, from an X's and O's standpoint, the last 3 years at Franklin County were really beneficial to me in terms of what we want to do offensively. You know, and just little things about running the day-to-day things within a program. You know, I think about guys like Bill Sharp at Russell County and Dan Gooch at Montgomery County, you know, Clay Clevenger at Danville, you know, guys that I've worked for who I've learned a ton from, Nate McPeak at Frederick Douglass. It's just I've been really blessed to work under enough really good guys that some of this stuff kind of came naturally to me because it was things that were instilled in me by those guys.
So what have been some of your biggest challenges going into being a head coach so far? Like, you know, maybe developing chemistry with your, you know, your players. Like, what has been some of your biggest challenges so far?
You know, I think the biggest challenge has been finding that balance between, you know, the expectation of what this was a year ago, and knowing that it takes time to get this thing turned around, and balancing that with a community that is so great, and they have an expectation to win, and they want to win right now. And that's why, one of the reasons why I took this job. You want to be in places that want to win, and you want to be in places that expect to win. So just finding that balance, and trying to instill in our kids a belief that we can get this thing turned around pretty quickly.
So for somebody like myself that's not really familiar with all of these schools and stuff, like, can you tell me a little bit about the rivalries and maybe which games that your players may be looking forward to playing the most? I mean, I know for you as a head coach, I would imagine every game matters and every game is treated equally. But I would imagine that for some of your players, like, there's some games on the schedule that might be, they might be looking forward to a little bit more.
It's really cool. One of the cool things about being in the mountains and in mountain football is, your kids have connections to different communities around you. And there's a lot of our kids that have different games on the schedule that are very personal to them. You could look down almost the entire schedule and basically find some reason why a game could be very personal to one of our kids or our coaches. A lot of these schools have been playing each other. A lot of the schools on our schedule, Hazard's been playing for a very long time. So the community really cares about those rivalries. I would say, our biggest one, kind of like with everybody in 1A, is probably Pikeville. We're all kind of chasing Pikeville right now, and we've all played Pikeville for a really long time. The Raceland game has developed into a really good rivalry for us, as they've kind of ascended to the top of 1A in the East right there with Pikeville. And then, a lot of our guys on staff have connections to Letcher Central, who we play. This will be the last year that we play them for a little while. The contract didn't get renewed, but so that game will be really big too for me, being a Letcher County guy and a couple other guys on our staff.
So have you had a chance to play some scrimmage games this summer? And if so, like, how have the players been gelling together? Have they been making a lot of progress? So, what's it looking like so far?
Yeah, we scrimmaged Bell County 2 weeks ago, and then this past Saturday we scrimmaged Betsy Lane at Shelby Valley. We were really pleased with the first scrimmage. We had a lot of things to clean up and fix. I was really pleased with our players in the second scrimmage. We were able to do a little bit more game planning. It's tough. At first scrimmage, you don't have any opponent film. The second one, we were able to get a little bit of opponent film, and we jumped into, a little bit of a scouting report, and they were really mentally prepared, and I thought played pretty well. We were pretty pleased. So right now we're just kind of counting down the days until we actually play one that counts.
So who do you play for your very first game?
We play Martin County here at Hazard on Friday.
Oh, that's going to be Darryl. Will we get to cover that one?
I'm working on it right now. We're trying to see what we got crew wise, but that's the second game. If we're short on crew, so we're trying to work it out to where we can try to get down there. That we're hoping to, because both of you guys coming in. I mean, listen, Martin County, there's so many unknowns. It's got to be tough to game plan for them right now, Coach, with the new quarterback. They got new linemen. They graduated a lot. So, that's had to be a tough team to really game plan for, right?
Yeah, it's really funny. Back during the summer and in the spring, we said, this Bell County scrimmage is going to be really good because, we're going to get an idea of a run heavy, set team against Martin County. And then the quarterback situation changes, and now they're a little bit different offensively. But, you're right. They're a good football team. And they're another program that, going back to the days when they were Sheldon Clark, has a lot of tradition, a program that, has been right there in mountain football, that plays a physical brand of football, and just has a lot of pride and a lot of tradition. So it's going to be a big challenge for us. As much as this game means to us, and as much as we'd love to be 1-0, we've just preached to our kids all week that we're playing a program that's used to winning, and we're going to have to play our best football to have a shot.
Yeah, I mean, very tough, situation there, but it's got to be. The thing that I'm tickled to death is, that you taking over that program, I think, has rekindled a fire in that community. I've talked to a lot of people, and they're excited, again. And listen, Coach Dan done an amazing job there. Don't want to, or Coach Howard, don't want to say anything there, but it was just kind of, it had leveled out a little bit. And, I think, the change kind of, got that energy back in the community and got Hazard football back up to where it needed to be, because right now you don't want to waste them skilled position players that you got. I mean, when you look around, you are stacked when it comes to the skilled position. Talk about some of the players in the trenches. Go inside out and tell us, some of the guys that we need to keep an eye on and some of the guys that's been showing out this summer.
Offensively, we made a change a couple of weeks ago where we made a move. We moved Kenyon Higgins from left tackle to well, he was already playing defensive end, but we decided to plug in one of our freshmen at left tackle, to get Kenyon a breather because he's so good on defense. We can't really take him off the field. So he embraced that. We're starting another freshman D end over on that side, in Caden Brewer. Then when you flip to the offensive side, like I said, we're starting 2 freshman offensive tackles and Gannon Mullins and Isaac Begley. Cole Napier is a kid who's a sophomore who's starting at right guard. All those guys have played really well. We made a switch where we put Terry Davidson at center. We thought he was a kid who, when I looked at him, he's a smart kid. He's a strong kid. I said, if you're going to play up front, I need you at center so that you can get us lined up and make all the calls in the box. Hudson Johnson is a kid at left guard who's come along really well. I've been really pleased with how physical he's been playing. And then, like you said, we've just got a lot of really good young athletes on the perimeter. We try to spread the ball around. That was one thing, with what we're doing offensively. I'm a big believer in, getting guys the football and making sure that everybody gets a touch to stay involved in the game and make sure that defenses can't key in on one guy.
Yeah, that Kenyon Higgins, he's a kid. If you guys at home haven't seen this young man, he is ginormous. I mean, I've be honest with you, if I've never really paid attention to Kenyon on the football field, but I'm a huge fan on the basketball court of his. But I could just imagine, that kid. It seems like if he puts his head where it needs to be, that that kid, he could get to next level football.
He could play at the next level for sure. And, he's done a really good job. He's matured a lot. And there have been a lot of things just in the last couple weeks that you see that are little things that most people don't notice, but for Kenyon are huge signs of growth as a person and as far as maturity. So that, more than anything, I think he's starting to kind of flip that switch of realizing that when he gets all those things in order, he can be an even better football player. So we're really pleased with him, not just on the field, but some of the personal growth that we've seen out of him.
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at y'all's schedule right now. I mean, you didn't hide from anybody. You play a couple big schools there: Harlan County, Letcher County. I mean, just looking at this schedule, this is the toughest I've seen it in a while. There, you got Clay County, Pikeville, Paintsville, Raceland, Corbin, Breathitt, Letcher. Thank God you got Paris at home, because if you've seen that football field they got there now, it's
I love the orange turf. I love it. I talked to some
I got mixed emotions on it, Coach.
I talked to some of the Paris kids at the UPAC one-day camp, and then I talked to their head coach at the EKU 7-on-7. They were really good kids, and we had a good time talking. And yeah, I'm a big fan of the turf, man. I like the orange turf. I like stuff that's different.
Well, I'll tell you this, Coach, as you're sitting here looking, one thing I want to ask you, you getting that job at, a young age, I mean, and you still are a young guy, you getting to take over a top 5 program. And when I say top 5 programs, I mean, I think Belfry, Johnson Central, Pikeville, Paintsville, Hazard, I think those are the 5 premier historic jobs. Now you got other great jobs like, I mean, Perry Central, Letcher, their facilities, communities make it great jobs, but them are the 5 premier jobs in the 14th, 15th regions there. And for you to take over that's got to be kind of a dream come true, right?
It is. I grew up, I'm from Letcher County and grew up in the mountains, and mountain football is something that's very personal and it's very special to me. My uncle was a longtime assistant coach and then a head coach at Whitesburg High School. And it's really cool. I told somebody the other day, one of his biggest rivalries as a head coach at Whitesburg was when Jim Matney was at Sheldon Clark. and they used
Yeah.
to have some absolute battles every year, and it was a game everybody always looked forward to. So it's just, it's one of those things it's really cool that we get to open up with Martin County. And I'm happy to be back near family. I'm happy to be, like you said, in a program that, in my opinion, is one of the best programs in the entire state, not just the mountains.
Yeah.
There are so many programs out there where, number one, you don't have the community support that we have here, and number two, everybody competes for a state championship, and that's the goal for every school in the state. And it's really hard to do that in places where it's never been done. And here, that's something that we don't have to worry about. This community understands what it takes, and they're really hungry to get back there.
Well, you mentioned ending the contract there with Letcher. Obviously, as a fan, one game I'd love to see happen is Perry Central.
Yeah, that's been brought up multiple times. I think at some point we may be able to do that. I don't know that that's something that either school is interested in doing right now. You know how those things go, but eventually, it would be nice. I've got a 7-year-old in first grade. Maybe by the time I'm coaching him, we'll be ready to play that game.
It needs to happen for that community. But go up there, your facilities. Hazard is one of my favorite places to cover games. Just the way the press box sets up, the bleachers. I think they've done a really good job with giving their players what they need to succeed up there. Talk about the administration and the people you work with and how it's been your first year on the job.
It's been really good. They've been super supportive, and I don't know how many times I get asked, not just by the administration but people in the community, what do you need? We want to help. So there's been times where we really had to sit down and think about, okay, well, what do we need? Because we've got all these people wanting to help. So, we've got to come up with things that we need and that people want to do for us. And you mentioned facilities and administration. We're actually working on finalizing the plans. It's called the Holler Project, where we're going to get a new grandstand on the home side for football with a new press box. And then we're going to get some much needed facility upgrades for baseball and softball as you go up in the Holler. So, here this time next year, a lot of that stuff will look completely different, and it'll be even better than what we've got right now.
Well, I for one, I like y'all's press box. I like it's unique, and it's one of my favorite places to go cover games. But whenever you sit here and look, we got a ton of Jenkins people tuning in. You got a history there in Jenkins. How proud of you of that community being able to get their football program back up and going?
Man, super proud like that. And you made a good point earlier. People there really, really care about football, and it's people don't get it because it's a smaller community, it's even smaller community than us. But there are a lot of people there who really care, and that you're right. That would mean so much for that community to get that program back up and going. It'd be great for them. It'd be great for mountain football. The more teams that we can get back to being really competitive is good for all of us.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. Like in Jenkins, people don't realize, them folks ain't got anything to do on Friday nights, and how much would that mean for them to be able to go down there to that field on Friday nights and be able to support, their local team, and not only that, talk about the businesses that gets that, I guess, kind of that. They get that plus from all the people visiting the community. So people don't realize how much football means to small communities like Jenkins.
Yeah, it's, and there are, I think, a core group of people there that want to see it be successful. And I really, really, really would like to see it happen.
Yeah. Ashley, Ethan Cummins, and Damian Johnson, great team there. I really think they'll see this thing through. So as we get going, one thing that I wanted to ask you, is how much, and y'all got a good wrestling program. I know from middle school, up there, going on at Hazard, which I'm not sure about the high school, but I know middle school, y'all had a really good program. How much does wrestling coexist with football?
Really well. We had, I mentioned one kid that stands out to me. We had several football players who wrestled last year and will wrestle again this year. But Cole Napier, who's starting at right guard for us, I wasn't there to see all of it, but I was there I got here towards the tail end of wrestling season and saw some of it. And his improvement and his footwork and his flexibility, were huge. And I think that'll be a big part of his development going forward. He's a kid who's 6'4", 290 with a 78-inch wingspan when he got measured at Morehead State this summer. So you get that guy who's a current sophomore on the wrestling mat for the next 2 years. Kids like that, I mean, he's got all the potential in the world, and wrestling is a big part of our plan to get him there.
Yeah, and I tell you, a guy that had to make your job easier is John Fletcher. Looking and seeing what he put.
Fletcher's the man, but don't tell him that I said that.
I definitely won't. I don't know his head can get any bigger.
It can't. It barely fits through the field house doors right now.
But he kind of, that pipeline coming up to you. He makes sure that them players are ready. And when you look at the success that he has year in, year out, it's got to make your job a little bit easier when you get them freshmen coming in, right?
Yeah, it is. And, it's always good to have guys like Coach Fletcher who, understand the community and they know everybody in the community, and they can, really help you navigate, because every community is different, and they can help you navigate some of those situations that, that dealing with individuals that you don't know personally. They can kind of bridge that gap in this first year, especially until I get comfortable in the community. So, yeah, I mean, those kids love playing for him. He's a huge part of not just the middle school, but the youth program. And he keeps that thing absolutely rolling. One of the things they asked me when I got this job and in the interview process was, what's your plan for the youth and middle school programs? And I was like, well, I'm just going to lean on Fletch. He's doing a great job. There's no reason to really, change a whole lot of what we're doing there. But again, don't tell him I said any of that, because I hope he's not watching.
Well, Coach, I guarantee you he's watching somewhere. As you're sitting there, you talked about the community. For you as a coach, knowing Martin County, Inez, I promise you, they're going to pack busloads of people over there to Hazard. How much would it mean for you, for the community, to come out and really pack at that field on Friday night?
It'd be incredible. That's one of the best. One of the reasons I took this job is for Friday nights in the holler. And, we're trying to generate some excitement. We're going to do, our version of like UK's catwalk. We're doing a dog walk that starts at 5:30 from the high school, where we're going to walk up the hill. And, I put that out there a couple of days ago, and our AD put it out there, and it's kind of blown up. I fully expect it to be a packed house. I think it'll be one of the best atmospheres in the mountains on Friday night.
Well, Coach, we sure hope we can get over there. I am ecstatic. When you took over the program, I was so happy to finally get to this day and see what you do, because I know that you're going to do great things there at Hazard. I mean, I've seen what you've done everywhere else. I've talked to people that you've been around, you've coached. I mean, you're the right guy for the job there, and cannot wait to see how this year plays out. Anything you need from us, you let us know, and hopefully we can get over there on Friday. That's our plans, but I'll let you know later in the week. But till then, Coach, want to wish you the best of luck, and want to thank you for joining us this morning.
No problem, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Coach.
See you.
All right. Guys, we'll be right back here on the Startup Morning Show.
Wear a lot of hats. There are coaches, volunteers, church members, neighbors, someone who's there when you need them, especially when you need them most. That may be a lot of hats, but they're all the perfect fit. Kentucky Farm Bureau, big on commitment.
Central America, head to Sal's Steakhouse. Sizzle your senses with mouthwatering steaks, juicy burgers, savory chicken, and fall-off-the-bone ribs. Sal's Steakhouse, where your taste buds will thank you. Unleash the flavor at Sal's. Taste tradition, taste the difference.
Pass, bring them to Hall & Jones Funeral Home in Burgee, Kentucky. We let you grieve in peace instead of worrying about a heavy financial burden of burying a loved one. Here at Hall & Jones, we have multiple chapels that can accommodate any size family. We look forward to helping you and your family here at Hall & Jones. And we are back here on the Startup Morning Show. JJ Pruitt, Darryl McCoy here. Great interview with Coach Matt Chandler, JJ.
Yeah, you mentioned first-year head coach. I can't wait to see what he does this year. I mean,
I promise you, he's going to do great things. This segment is brought to you courtesy of Derek Bowling at Kentucky Farm Bureau. Make sure that for all your insurance needs, you go see Derek Bowling. I promise you, he'll make sure you leave with the best rates. Call today for a free quote. That's Derek Bowling at Kentucky Farm Bureau, your Perry County insurance agent. So as JJ, we move on, we got a ton of comments coming in, and Whitey Little wanting to know how Gavin Johnson is coming along. Whitey, I seen, and I wish we would have seen that and asked Coach for you, but seen Gavin this summer. Gavin's coming along quite well. I promise you that kid's going to play a lot sooner than people think. You know, as you're sitting there, you know, he a great kid. You know, he's a young kid, but he's a stud in that system. You know, wait till you see that it's skill positions all around. But Gavin, you know, he's going to be a star on this team. You know, I love the kid, love what he brings to the table. Great kid, on and off the field. A lot of success going to come to that young man. He puts in the work, and he deserves it.
Is he a multi-positional player as well, or?
I don't know if he plays multiple positions or not, but you know, we'll have to bring Coach on. He can tell you a little bit more about that. But you know, I know on the offense side of the ball, he's a stud.
Yeah.
The Jimmy Johnson said, JJ, it looks like Darryl grounded you and sent you to your room, and you locked yourself in there against the door.
Well, I mean, you know, it's my little office.
Yeah. Ethan Cummings says Bulldog tailgates are the best. Carl Whitey Little tuning in. Bo May says you covering Little League football games this season in West Virginia. Yes, we are, Bo. That's the plan. Scott Napier says, good morning, guys. Good morning, Scott Napier from Kentucky Mountain Health Alliance. Listen, Scott Napier is a huge part. He helped bring us to Perry County. If it wasn't for Scott, we couldn't do what we do. You know, I respect Scott Napier more than just about any man I know, you know, because, you know, him and Derek Bowling seen the vision and seen, you know, that Perry County needed D&D Sports Network just like we needed them, you know, and if it wasn't for them two guys, we would not be in Perry County. So definitely want to thank Scott Napier at Kentucky Mountain Health Alliance, which is Quantum Health, East Kentucky Chiropractic, and Little Flower Clinic. So as we're going on, Darren Brewer says, want to wish a big shout out to Jackson Estridge. So congratulations, Jackson. Thank you, Darren. As Ethan Cummings says, we definitely have the right coaches in place. Coach Jordan Stanifer and his staff is doing a great job. They are doing a fabulous job from what I seen yesterday. Them guys, them kids, you know, I was surprised. That was the youth program. They had a couple middle school kids there, but I was surprised to see how many kids they had out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, JJ, as we're moving, let's get to some of our stories. You know, we got a million that we didn't get to the other day, so we're going to get to them today. Let's go on and clear out. Well, before we get there, let's give Cameron Pente a big shout out. Cameron Pente, Betsy Lane point guard, picks up an offer from Kentucky Christian University yesterday too. No surprise there. You know, if you know this kid, he is tough. He is gritty. It's Brady Robinson's little brother. And, you know, the kid, him and Estridge was the two best kids at that camp, in my opinion. They was definitely the two most consistent. You know, like, Pente's not a kid. He's not going to make a lot of mistakes. And the he's probably the most underrated defender in the region. I've watched him lock some elite offensive players up. Cannot wait to see what he does this year at Betsy Lane, but tickled to death for Cameron picking up that offer.
Absolutely. And finding an elite guard that has a defensive mentality, I mean, that's you got a really good player on your hands if you can find one like that.
Jimmy Johnson says, Darryl, I see you have replaced JJ in the lineup with a very energetic, enthusiastic commentator sitting next to you. Well, Jimmy, guess what? Here on the Startup Morning Show, I told JJ, I said, listen, man, I said, I need a dog. And, JJ, he wasn't, I wasn't seeing that dog in JJ that I needed. So I went out and got me a dog.
I'm more like a poodle. I mean,
JJ's a pup. We're grooming JJ.
Yeah, baby steps.
As you can see, this little fella here, he's vicious, JJ.
He's an interesting character, that's for sure.
So AT&T going on strike. 17,000 AT&T workers throughout the Southeast strike over contract negotiations. JJ, tell us a little more about this.
Well, more than 17,000 AT&T workers, this happened, recently. And the Communication Workers for America, the union representing the striking employees, said workers walked off the job Friday in response to AT&T's failure to bargain in good faith. Now, I mean, come on. They make all this money from hitting us with these late phone bills and stuff. I mean, the least that they could do is, take care of their workers. I mean, that's...
Now, I knew about this coming up. When I took my son up to the CU Harrodsburg camp, one of our biggest viewers and one of my best friends from high school, Jason Blair, he come out and watched my son at the camp there, and we was talking, and he was telling me that they was about to go on strike. So I knew about this 2 weeks ago. Yeah, he works for AT&T, and he's one of the main union guys. So, and I'm trying to reach out to him to get him on the show to talk a little bit about it and, what exactly they're hoping to accomplish. But he told me, he said, right now, he said, I'm trying to get as many hours as I can. And he said, because he said, we're probably going to go on strike here. He said, in a week or two, he said, and then he said, he said, I'm not going to get a paycheck for a while. He said, so, people don't understand when these people go on strike. This is very tough for them because they don't get paid during that time.
Absolutely. And they all have to come together too.
Yeah, and that's what I told him. I said, and with him, he's got a good job and getting good hours and stuff. But that's what I told him. I said, why mess it up? And he said, I'm big into the union. He said, and I got to stand by my guys. So, that it's not really anything affecting, him. I mean, I'm sure he wants, some of the stuff that they're trying to accomplish fixed too. But at the end of the day, his life was good, but, he believes in the union and he's a big part of the union. So he's going on strike with them.
Now, according to this article as well, it says, their union entered into negotiations in good faith, an effort to reach a fair contract, but they haven't been met at the table with a decent offer just yet. So I guess you could say one is pending in the process.
Yeah. Jimmy Johnson says AT&T should have been expanding all over fiber lines and DSL all over the country. Said for the last 10 to 15 years, they've missed out on the times. It's sad the workers are paying for their lack of vision and investment. And I agree, Jimmy. That's a big part of this problem. So
another thing is, like, all of these companies, man, these multi-million and billion-dollar companies, like, they make all of this money and they never want to take care of their workers. Like, they want to pay them the bare minimum, or they'll pay a couple a decent amount, but for the most part, they're doing everything that they can just to try to get as much profit as possible. When really, I mean, they're going to make profit no matter what. There's nothing wrong with wanting to take care of your workers. I mean,
not at all.
It's just the bare minimum.
JJ, as we're sitting here, you ever wonder who the 10 richest guys in the world are?
I mean, I know a couple of them, but yeah.
Okay, let's see how many you know.
Let's see. Obviously, we're going to go with Jeff Bezos. We're going to go with Bill Gates. We're going to go with Elon Musk. We're going to go with Mark Zuckerberg. Let's see. There's a Mexican billionaire as well. He owns like 89% of the landlines in Mexico. He's worth a killing as well. And then is it Ballmer? Steve Ballmer, the guy that owns the Clippers, ain't he worth like $30 billion as well?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that's the only 5 I could think. 4 out of 5 of them would have to be in the top 10.
Let's see how many here you get. All right, Elon Musk is the richest guy in the world, $244 billion. Jeff Bezos is worth $195 billion. So a big Elon Musk has over 50 million more. So, or 50 million more dollars than what Jeff Bezos does. Mark Zuckerberg on their Facebook comes in third. The Bernard Arnault and family is fourth. Warren Buffett is sixth. That's one you should have known. Larry Page is seventh. Bill Gates eighth. Sergey Brin, I guess he's got something to do with Google, is ninth. And as we go down to the 10th, Steve Ballmer, 123 billion.
Now, the fourth one, I think he's the owner of like Louis Vuitton and a couple of other designer brands. I mean, I know who he is. No, I just couldn't think of his name off the top of my head.
Well, I'm sitting here going through the list. This comes out every year. It's the Fortune 400, and they put out the 400 most richest people in the world. And I'm sitting here trying to think some other notable names. I'm sitting here trying to look through a lot of Chinese and Japanese people on this list.
But you also got to think, Darryl, there's a couple of people, because that list that they come out with every year, like you had the option to not be on it. So I can imagine there's a couple of Saudi billionaires that probably aren't on it, that choose not to be, to fly under the radar.
Well, and I'm sure that's true. And 44th on the list is Phil Knight of Nike. He's worth $36 billion.
Oh, wow.
So I honestly thought Phil Knight would be worth more than that.
I mean, that's still a pretty good number, but yeah, I'm like you. I can imagine how much money that they generate every single year. I mean, even just off the Jordan brand. I mean, I think that last year they generated like $2 or $3 billion just off of his brand alone. So whenever you've got people like LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Serena Williams, like all of these major players from other sports, I don't know if Ronaldo, he's signed with Nike as well. I could be wrong. But yeah, you would think that they're generating, like, they would be worth a lot more.
If you go right now to Forbes.com, you can see the entire list. And I'm sitting here trying to go through some others. The Murdoch family is on there.
Well, I know for a fact there's another family missing, the Rothschild family. I know, like, they own like 80% of the banks in the world out there or something like that.
I'm not. What's their name?
The Rothschild dynasty.
Yeah,
they're not on that list, but they should be. Like, yeah, that family's, yeah, they're worth a lot.
Yeah, as you sit here, I'm sitting here looking. I mean, and it tells you what these people are noted for. A lot of them clothing designers. The Red Bull owner is up there. He's worth $39.5 billion. Chanel owner is up there. A lot of shipping people is up there. And believe it or not, as I'm sitting here, top 50, a lot of pet food owners is in the top 50. The candy pet food seems like it's a lucrative business.
Oh yeah. I can imagine how much money that the pet industry generates every year just off of pet food and stuff like that. Because, I mean, yeah, I've got friends that spend hundreds of dollars every single month on their pets.
Well, I don't know that I would spend that much on it, JJ. The big story, DNC, the Democratic National Convention, is going on. Joe Biden was met with a round of applause last night as he had a tear-jerking moment where his granddaughter had to come up, help him off stage, and Hillary Clinton, she gave a huge speech, tried to rally the Democrats behind Kamala Harris. And, I've always liked the RNC and the DNC, the Democratic and Republican National Conventions. Believe it or not, I watch it. I think they're important. And, just sitting there and seeing Joe Biden, after all he's been through, listen, don't paint me no Joe Biden fan, but at the end of the day, the man is still our commander in chief, and he needs our respect. And for him to be able to, go out with that moment where they showed all that respect, and, he's talking about, how people doubted his health and all that, that man's been through a lot over the last 6 months. And, take my thoughts about him away, I was happy that, he finally got his well-due respect last night.
Absolutely. And I truly feel sorry for him, because at the end of the day, he's in his 80s. I mean, you can tell that his health is declining. Like, you can see clips from 2012 all the way up to 2024. You can see, like, his speeches, the way that he talks and stuff. Like, you can tell that, life is just taking a toll on him. And for him to finally get a little bit of respect, I mean, it's like even when he gave that speech about a week or two ago, and it's like whenever he dropped out of the race and did it on his own terms, it's like, he's more admirable now, I mean, than he was. I mean, I hate that he's went through what he's went through. I mean, and even when he got elected president, like, everybody had this theory that, he was just going to be a puppet. So, like, I mean, just lately, it seems like this has been the only time he's been able to do stuff on his own for himself. Like, nobody's thinking for him. Nobody's forcing him to make any moves. It's on his terms.
Well, as we're sitting here, Jimmy Johnson says if the Walmart family members didn't split all of their cash separately, then they would be number one, said by a lot, said the Waltons. The Waltons, I've always, Sam Walton, he used to be on that list. I've not went and dug down enough. I just went to like the top 100, but I've not went and seen beyond that. I'm going to dig into it further after the show. But I'm excited to see how many people I want to know. Is Taylor Swift, has she got up there yet?
I think she's at 300 million. But that family I told you about, Darryl, do some homework on them. The Rothschild family. If you've ever been big on conspiracy theories, like the secret societies and stuff, like the Illuminati, that's the family that people talk about.
Well, I'll definitely do my homework on them. Check that out. As JJ, I got a question.
Okay.
I take it, just knowing you, I take it that you're probably not a fan of amusement parks, are you?
If I can make it up the steps to get on the roller coaster, absolutely. Cedar Point, as a kid, Cedar Point was always one of my favorite places to go, but I would have to close my eyes walking up the steps to get on the runs.
Are you a big Ferris wheel guy?
No.
See, Ferris wheels, I am, because be honest with you, I'm a bigger guy, so I can't, a lot of rides I can't ride, so Ferris wheels is one ride that I can ride with my family and I can enjoy it. But I'm sure glad I wasn't on this one. Check this out.
Alles? Hey Leute, wir wurden gerade durchgesagt. Also kein Abbruch, Leute. Doch kein Abbruch. Wir müssen hier kurz warten auf weitere Informationen, aber ich muss sagen, macht euch Kelchgeist, alles ist sicher. Ein bisschen scheiße für die Person, der das Riesenrad gehört, weil es safe dieser Schaden, aber ihr seid in Sicherheit. Was für ein Penner? Wollen wir jetzt einen kleinen Brecher noch dazu spielen?
My thing is, was anybody in that box whenever it got on fire? The story didn't say. And the other thing is, why did they just stop moving the thing? Like, why wasn't they trying to get people off? Or did it affect the Ferris wheel and make it to where they couldn't control it?
I mean, my theory was it may have malfunctioned and wasn't working, because you saw other parts of the Ferris wheel, like people were doing this.
Yeah.
So maybe they were trying to get it to spin or something. I mean, do you think that's possible, or like what? Or to get it to go down? I mean,
I don't know. I got to think if it was on fire, they probably lost control of it. They probably couldn't control it because it probably burnt the hydraulic hose and stuff like that. So I would say that, there was a good chance that it wouldn't. But, then again, I'm sitting here thinking about a Ferris wheel, and I don't know that there's a lot of cords and hoses going to them. It seems like that, as I'm picturing it, it seems like that they just got them locked in and them hanging there and they just swing. I don't think there's a lot of electronics that go into it unless, it's lights or something like that. That's electricity going into it. But, I would think that if one goes out, that they would still be able to do it, because I don't think there's like hydraulic hoses and stuff like that going out to the boost.
Do you think that maybe friction somehow caused that? I don't know.
It very well could have. Very well could have. It could have been a bearing that was wore out. It could have been anything. Could have been somebody left a cigarette, in it. I've seen a lot of stuff in my history of going to amusement parks happen in Ferris wheels. So definitely, I could very well see somebody leaving a cigarette or something like that laying, near, or I could see a bearing being wore out, the ones that, cause it to hang there and swing back and forth. And like you said, friction causing it to catch fire. Anything could have happened. The electricity, if there's lights on it, could have malfunctioned.
But even then, that's a massive fire. I mean, that had to be a lot of friction for that to happen. Yeah.
Jimmy Johnson says, that's terrible. Said, I pray everyone made it out okay. He said, get some beautiful sights from the Ferris wheels. That's what I like about it too. I love the one of my favorites is the one at Myrtle Beach. And you could just see for miles and miles when you're at the top. And, at the same time, I'm scared to death of them. But, the whole time I'm in there, I'm scared because I'm sitting there like, my family hates riding with me because I'm like, don't move. Like quit breathing, quit talking. I don't want it moving because I'm scared to death. A lot of it's with my weight. I'm scared to death that, if I wasn't as big as I am, I probably wouldn't be as scared. But Jimmy Johnson says, he said he loves them because you get the beautiful sights. And, I'm trying to think, hillbilly days, that when I was a kid, I used to ride the Ferris wheel there. But, I've seen way too many stuff on the internet to ride carnival rides anymore. You're not going to catch me on them.
Like the Magnolia Fair back in the day.
Yeah. You're not going to catch me on them. And so, JJ, as we move on here, Austin Sperry, you ain't got a chance to know this young man. He picked up a big offer from IUPUI. Now he holds multiple Division I offers. He holds one from Ohio, from EKU, Moorhead, Radford, NKU, Northern Kentucky. And for the life of me, I cannot picture that bottom logo, who that is. It looks like maybe a Roadrunner or something. Jimmy, if you can recognize that logo, let us know. But he picked up another offer from IUPUI. That's not going to be the last. This kid's one of the most athletic kids in the 14th region. If he wanted to focus on football, he could have been a Division I wideout too. But he quit last year, and I don't think he's playing this year either. So, he's kind of gave up on that part. But the basketball side of it, he turned down an opportunity to play for the OTE brand not long ago. And speaking of OTE, Talon Kinney, top player in his class, just committed to the OTE draft. So that's two Kentuckians that they got now in the OTE draft, Talon Kinney and Jasper Johnson. Would have been neat to see Austin Sperry and Xander Carter in it, but I'm glad they stayed home and we'll get to watch them here in the mountains. But, and that just tells you, man, a lot of people, talk about what makes mountains athletics different.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great case right there. The two kids that turned OTE down are mountain kids, Austin Sperry and Xander Carter. You go out west, Talon Kinney, Jasper Johnson. This is no knock on schools elsewhere. but it just doesn't mean as much. Now, you got cities like Danville, Titletown, Boyle County that, it means a lot in them communities, but the closer you get to the cities, it's easier for players to make decisions like that because, not everything, dies and lives and dies with the local athletics here in the mountains. That is the show, and you grow up in the mountains. Your dream ain't to play for OTE. Your dream is to play for the Breathitt County Bobcats. And, so when I seen, Talon Kinney yesterday, I was like, well, he's from up in northern Kentucky there, up in the Newport area, I mean, and the other thing is a lot of these kids transfer in, so they're not creating ties with these communities, like the kids in the mountains do. So, I very tickled that Austin Sperry's staying home, and I'm makes me even more excited that he continues to get these Division I offers sitting here, showing that staying in the mountains can pay off.
Absolutely. And we need to find out that logo. That's the second time we saw that one specific logo and we couldn't figure out which team it was. We need to figure that out.
Yeah, they Jimmy Johnson says might be Texas at San Antonio mascot. I'm not 100% sure. Said Sperry is a great athlete. Jimmy Johnson says, he's one of the best athletes. I've seen him perform well at camps all summer. If you've not watched this kid, he might be the number one athlete in the mountains. Jimmy Johnson says the Roadrunners is let's see, blue and orange, and that pick looked golden blue. It was golden blue there. So I've seen the logo. I just don't know what it is right offhand. But as you're sitting here, Austin Sperry, I say he's the best athlete in the mountains, and just pure athlete, I don't know, it would be hard to overcome him. But when you talk about dunks this year, I still think Parker Watts from Martin County will lead the mountains in dunks.
Absolutely. And I'll never forget the first time I saw him play during the summer league. His very first basket was a tip back dunk.
Yeah, that's his specialty. He waits for his teammates to shoot it, and then he goes and catches off the rebound. So as we're sitting here, JJ, that's going to bring us to another break. When we come back, we got some interesting stories. Wait till I tell you what happened at this In-N-Out Burger. You want to come back and join us here on the D&D Sports Network Startup Morning Show.
Central America, head to Sal's Steakhouse. Sizzle your senses with mouthwatering steaks, juicy burgers, savory chicken, and fall-off-the-bone ribs. Sal's Steakhouse, where your taste buds will thank you. Unleash the flavor at Sal's. Taste tradition, taste the difference.
Walters Kia. By now, you know Kia is a great vehicle, and you know they come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. So why should you buy from Bruce Walters Kia? At Bruce Walters Kia, we're going to change your oil for free for life. And what you do with that money you save is up to you. Come check out the 2022 Kia Carnival and the 2021 Kia Sorento. Only at Bruce Walters Kia in Pikeville. Or shop us online at brucewalterskia.com.
Back here on the Startup Morning Show, JJ Pruitt and Darryl McCoy here. We want to thank our good friend Scott Napier and Kentucky Mountain Health Alliance for sponsoring this segment. If you're looking for medical services, whether it's dental, chiropractic, medical, it doesn't matter. They got you covered with Quantum Health, Little Flower Clinic, and East Kentucky Chiropractic. JJ, as we're moving on here, has anything ever made you mad enough to choke somebody out at an In-N-Out Burger?
I think I may have. I don't think I've ever been to an In-N-Out Burger. I think I've actually had some of the food delivered to me when I was in Vegas, but I don't think I've ever been there.
Well, tough situation here happened in Colorado. A man choked a 15-year-old boy out at In-N-Out Burger.
Jesus Christ!
And
what do you do? Forget to put mayonnaise on his burger or something?
no, it was actually a kid that he was in. His name is Eugene Robertson. He's 40 years, or no, take that back. That was not his name. I do apologize there. I'm trying to make sure I get this guy's name right for you here. The as there was some kids that was goofing off out in the lobby, and he ended up taking and they splashed water on this guy's wife, and the guy ended up taking and choking the kid out for splashing water on his wife.
I mean,
right here, his name is Lucas Kalisher. He was 55 years old. At 55 years old, you're choking a 15-year-old out. Listen, I understand getting upset, and listen, you got to save face and you got to protect your wife. You got to stand up as you're sitting there, and I do not know that I would choke a kid out for that. I've been in places where kids are goofing off, and I have had situations arise where something not on my wife, but something may have flew over, like a kids throwing paper wads, and one of them fly over into our booth, and get upset over it. But I don't think I've ever got mad enough to choke a kid out.
You know what's crazy, Darryl? In this day and age, he probably could have got a lawsuit out of that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, and here's the thing: is this guy is a CEO of Summit Source Energies in Colorado. So this is a 55-year-old CEO choked a guy out. Now you would think him being a CEO that life's going pretty well for this guy. So it really puzzles me why he chose to choke this kid out over that, because at the end of the day, kids are going to be kids, and, I've took my kids, first thing they do when the waitress brings their straws, they put it up to their mouth and they blow it, and then they'll take and wad paper up, throw it at each other. And many times I've seen it go over into somebody else's, booth. And, so I understand him being frustrated, but how much water was spilled, I couldn't imagine that it was like a bucket of water. It was probably just a splash of water. And at the end of the day, you're a CEO, so represent yourself. When you're out, like with D&D, that's one thing. I behave a lot better now than I used to, because I always know that no matter where I'm at, whether I'm on the clock or not, I'm representing the company. So if I wasn't doing that, I would probably be a lot more immature than what I am. But it made me grow up a lot. And this guy being a CEO, you would think he would have learned that.
I would be curious to see the footage. Like, did they just splash water and laugh and run away, or was there like cuss words exchanged, or did they splash water and the guy say, "Hey, please, go somewhere, don't do that," and then they smarted off and said something? Like, what's the full story here? Like, I mean, because I'm like you, that's to break bad like that. I mean, he either had a lot of rage that was built up inside, or there had to have been more said, maybe.
Had to be.
Yeah.
Well, as you're sitting here, Dr. Michael McKinney has the judge has allowed Michael McKinney to go back to work. He's the dentist that is facing murder charges right now in the Amber Spradlin case. Justice for Amber folks are highly upset with the judge's decision. JJ, should the man been allowed to go back to work?
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how many people want to take him on as their dentist. That's the one thing I'm curious. I mean,
here's the thing. It's obviously took the toe. This whole situation has took toe on his businesses. I lived in Prestonsburg. I lived less than a block away from his dentist office and his restaurant. It used to be packed there. Then, you started seeing business dwindle ever since all this stuff come up. Now, the restaurant, you used to have to wait there. Sometimes you'd wait, 45 minutes to an hour and a half on a table. Well, it went to where nobody was in the parking lot. And then, like myself, and I may take a knock for this, and so I'm hesitant to even say it, but I still went to the restaurant. I didn't see him really associated with the restaurant because when you went in there, I've never seen the man at the restaurant. It was his wife that run it, or ex-wife. I don't know what they are, but the reason I went in there is because of this waitress. I met her years ago when I lived in Paintsville. She backed into my car, and I ended up taking, and me and her dad got into it in the whenever it happened, and but the girl, she was just a great girl, genuine girl, and her dad was one of them people that judge books by its cover. He was this rich guy that drove. He was a pilot in an airplane, worked at the airport, and so he come for money. Well, he come down there when his daughter clearly backed into my car, and my daughter was in the back seat. And luckily nobody was hurt, but he come down there and automatically, back then I had this old Cavalier was beat up. A couple deers had hit it. It was old work car. It's how we started this company. We built it on that old black Cavalier, and he looked at the car and he's like, this must be a druggie, must be this or that. And, knowing he didn't know I had my daughter in the car with me. And so, he ended up, he's like, you're not turning this in on my daughter's insurance. I said, buddy, I said, right there, I said, this radiator could be busted. I said, it's clearly broke. It broke the wheel panel out. And I said, I don't know what is going on with this car. I said, yeah, this car's beat up, banged up. I said, I get that. I said, but, this is all we got. So I could see, what if some problems happen? Well, he ended up, he's like, you're just wanting money. It's okay. Let's call the law and we'll get them to come up and, take care of business that way. And he's like, I'm not turning it in on my, I said, you ain't got a choice. I said, your daughter backed into me. And so we ended up coming up, and he gave me $500. And he said, here, he said, let's just call it even. You fix what you need to fix. Well, he was sitting there basically like the whole time, like, people like this, they do this just to get money, and, this is BS. And his daughter, the whole time I was sitting there talking, and she told me she was a waitress. And my wife was a former waitress. My wife worked at Applebee's for years as a waitress. So I understood what it's like to be a waitress, and, what they go through, the money they make. And so, that $500, he made her pay it. And that was, I sat there and watched her. She had about $40 left after that, and she was crying. And so I ended up, after him sitting there talking all that crap, out of that $500, I went and I gave her $200. I said, here, baby. I said, I understand what it's like to be a waitress. I said, my wife was a waitress for a long time. I said, I know you worked hard for this money. And I gave her the $200 back. And her dad is sitting there, and I said, hopefully this prick learned something here, not to judge a book by its cover. I said, then I ended up going to the brick house a couple months later, and I run into her. And ever since then, I felt, like she treated my kids like family when we went in there. Like, kids know her by name. My wife knows her by name. We go in there. She knew what we wanted. Then she ended up getting pregnant and having a kid. Well, during all that is when all this Amber Spradlin stuff come up. And then it went to where nobody was going in the brick house, and all these waitresses, they didn't have anything to do with this, but they was having to suffer the consequences, because of all this stuff. And, my heart went out to them, because I know how hard they work, and, this is out of their hands. So I still went in there and would eat from time to time. But listen, that has destroyed that business there, because it gets a fraction of the business, like maybe 10% of what it used to get. So for him to return back to work to his dental office, I know his dental license was revoked, so I don't think he can practice dentistry, but I think he can go and do office work, is what that's saying. So, no matter what you believe in this situation, we live in America. You're innocent till proven guilty, right?
Absolutely, man. The truth will come out eventually.
Yeah, whether he's innocent, whether he's guilty, that's not for me to judge. I'm not the judge, but at the end of the day, innocent till proven guilty. So you got to go through the justice system. And if he's guilty, guess what? He'll go and, these days that he's working, he'll need to work them days because, even if he's found innocent, I'm sure there's going to be a civil case after this, and he's going to have to find a way to pay all that money. So, it'll work out in the end, but just believe in the justice system. That's all I can say on both sides. And, hopefully, whatever needs to happen happens.
Absolutely. And
Jimmy Johnson says, heck no, he shouldn't be allowed to go back to work. Said he ain't going to be CEO no more. He's going to be he's going to have a PO, parole officer, if he's lucky. Talking about the guy choking a guy out.
Yeah.
And then the other kid that is the Josh Mullins kid. That's they're trying to get his bail. He lived with the McKinneys, and the question is will he be allowed to go back and live at that same place? If he does get bail, because you would think he wouldn't be able to, because you don't want defendants talking to each other, right?
Yeah, I mean that's what's that, a conflict of interest or something like that?
Yeah.
Or
just like whenever they send you to jail, you don't put the prisoners in the same cells, So
no.
I couldn't imagine them allowing him to go back and live there, JJ.
No, I can't see a scenario. It's like, again, conflict of interest. I mean, nothing good can come from it.
No, I mean, they're going to talk about their case, and you just. You can't.
What do you know? What have you heard? What have you heard?
Yeah.
What is...
Yeah. So let's stay in Colorado, JJ. Man who pulled a gun after Burger King worker wouldn't take drugs for payment gets 143 years in prison. Tough situation here for this guy in Aurora, Colorado. 40-year-old Eugene Robertson sentenced to 143 years after pulling a gun on a Burger King worker after he refused to take drugs for payment. JJ, this is a tough situation. Listen, I worked fast food and I was on drugs one time. He's lucky he didn't come to me, because I'd have probably took him up on that at one given time, to pull a gun, and it wasn't that case that got him 143 years. As soon as he left there, he went and shot at two people at another parking lot. And then he went to one of his friend's house and tried breaking in the house, shooting a couple people there. He ended up not hitting anybody or shooting, but he kind of went on a spree where, he was on drugs at the time, but he was carrying around a Bible. He walked in a convenience store and ended up shooting at one of the clerks there, which carrying a Bible, that wasn't very Christian-like of him, but, ended up 40 years old, 143 years. He was facing 400 years in prison, so he got a bargain with the 143, but attempted murder, JJ, does this man deserve 143 years knowing that he didn't shoot anybody?
So my first question will be, what is his background? I mean, had he ever been convicted of any crimes prior to this? Because there's a lot of situations where you hear stories about, well, somebody got 40 years in prison for shoplifting somewhere, but then you find out he had 2 or 3 other prior convictions, and there are some places that have the 3-strike law. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if this is a situation where,
Colorado is a 3-strike state.
So maybe in this situation, I don't know, but maybe he could have committed some crimes prior to this. Maybe he did some time prior to this, and it was like, look, this is your last chance. and then that happened. But in this situation, if he hadn't had any other convictions prior to that, he hadn't done anything wrong, 143 years is a little outrageous, especially if you didn't kill somebody. I mean, I think of situations like, do you remember Brock Turner?
Yeah.
The kid that's assaulted a girl and while she was passed out, and he ended up only getting 3 months in jail for it.
Yep.
So there, I mean, it just depends on the situation, really. I mean, I would love to know if he had any prior convictions.
Very tough situation, JJ.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there was a story come out the other day, JJ. Let me find where I had the story here again. Sanitation worker in Houston, Texas, finds a newborn baby in a trash compactor. Very tough situation with that sanitation worker. They went, picked up blocks, trash, and then whenever they stopped to compact the trash, when the garbage truck goes, compacts it all together. Well, luckily they looked in the back during it, and they seen a newborn baby there. They said the baby was said it wasn't stillborn. Said you could tell it was born. So they don't know. They're doing DNA tests and going through trash, stuff like that, trying to figure out, whose trash it was that was near it, and they're trying to see what caused the death of the kid. And then they're going through the community trying to look at cameras, trying to figure out who was the one that left this baby there. But here's the situation. The tough part about it is Texas is a state that has the Moses Law. Do you know what that is?
I need to be educated.
Okay, the Moses Law is a law where any kid that's 60 days or younger, you can drop off at the local fire department and no questions asked. Like, no questions at all. Like, you can just drop them off, walk out the door, and Texas is one of the states that has the Moses Law, and that's what's making people in the community so upset that no matter what happened, why didn't somebody take advantage of the Moses Law and go drop this kid off? Why did it need to end the way that it did for this youngin?
I've never heard of that law. I'm actually looking it up right now. I mean, that's very interesting. That's the first time I've ever heard of that, because usually when people drop kids off, it's like, maybe an abandonment charge.
No, it's that's in Texas. They have the Moses Law. 60 days or younger, you can drop it off at the local fire department, and no questions will be asked. None at all.
I wonder how many states have that law. That's very interesting.
I don't know. That'd be interesting to know. Maybe you can Google that and find out for us.
Yeah, we're going to see if we can find out.
JJ,
yes, sir.
McDonald's.
Okay.
Has Happy Meals now for adults, and they're going to these throwback cups. People are going crazy. Some of these cups are going for as much as $3,000 online right now. People trying to complete the whole sets. Are you excited for McDonald's Happy Meals?
I didn't even know about this. I was looking at some of the cups. I think the one in the middle was kind of cool. I think I saw a polar bear one with the Coca-Cola. But this takes me back to the 90s with the Teeny Beanie Babies.
Yeah.
My mother, she collected all kinds of those. Like, she did everything she could to try to complete the full sets. And I think still to this day, she has the majority of hers. I don't know if she ever fully completed them, but she's got the Princess Diana ones. She's got the 4th of July ones, like the red, white, and blue Teeny Beanie Babies. Like, she's got a solid green one. I can't remember that. It was like a St. Patrick's Day one, but that's what that kind of reminds me of, the Teeny Beanie Babies back in the day. There's only 6 of those, I think. With the Beanie Babies, you had to, like, every single week, you had to collect them.
Well, right here is the cups. You got McDonald's, Coca-Cola, Hello Kitty, and Peanuts, Beanie Babies, Barbie and Hot Wheels, Shrek, Jurassic Park, and Minions cup. And people's trying to complete the sets, paying up to $3,000 online right now. So, be a good investment to go to your local McDonald's and get one of these adult Happy Meals.
That kind of reminds me also, you remember back in the day, the Monopoly game that McDonald's used to have?
Yes. Have you ever watched a documentary on it?
No, I never have.
Yeah, that whole thing was fake.
What?
Yeah, the whole Monopoly game was fake. Go to Netflix and watch the documentary. This guy was having these printed. Well, the thing is he had the one that nobody could get to complete the set to win the big prizes. He had in his freezer. He kept it in his freezer. This guy ended up coming up with this. It was a fake. He come up with it was.
Like a Ponzi scheme or something?
Yeah, like a Ponzi scheme. Well, come to find out, somehow the reason they got caught is somebody accidentally got the I can't remember how they got it, but got the winning ticket to complete the set. And one of the things they was giving away was a jet. So they ended up taking and sending them a toy jet or something like that. And it was supposed to be in a real jet, like an F-17. And so they had to find a way to pay that deal off. And that's how they ended up getting caught. But they made millions off from that. And come to find out the whole time it was fake.
They got so much money off of me.
That's the homework you got. That's the homework you got to watch tonight. Go on Netflix and watch the Monopoly game.
I'm definitely gonna watch it.
Yeah, hopefully it's still on there. But very, very intriguing documentary. Definitely recommend anybody watch it. I'm trying to think. I think it was part of a series that they had where they had fake like Ponzi schemes and stuff that was going on.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can find it.
Yeah. So, did you find out about the Moses Law? How many states have it?
I'm still looking. I found the Wikipedia page, but I haven't got the exact number just yet. I'm still looking. We're gonna find it though.
Folks in San Francisco are upset, JJ, as a slew of Waymo cars. Do you know what Waymo cars are?
You're gonna have to educate me again.
Waymo cars are cars where JJ they basically are driverless cars that are used as taxis in San Francisco and will basically Uber, for you. Well, these driverless cars, they all park in this lot. Well, people are upset because these cars at nighttime, they can't find a way to park themselves, and they keep honking nonstop all through the night, keeping everybody in the community up. One guy even lost his job because he said he ain't been able to sleep in over a week. But tough situation there. That brings me to my thing. Why I do not like electric cars, JJ, because you're gonna see a lot more stories like this. That's so unpredictable. It's hard enough for people to control vehicles, but then I don't know that I would ever get in a car that didn't have a driver, JJ.
I don't think I could do it. I would be afraid that somebody would hack into the system, because I've seen this. I'll tell you a movie that I watched a long time ago. It's called Untraceable. Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
Well, that's your homework assignment. That's a really good movie. But anyways, there was a scene in the movie where this guy, the cops were on his radar.
Whoa, JJ! I'm the teacher here, JJ. You don't give out homework, son.
Oh, is that right? So you two are you saying that you have too much knowledge to be educated?
No. I'm just playing with you there. But finish what you were saying.
Well, anyways, it's about this guy that he was very sheltered, and anyways, he would basically kill people, and he would stream it on the web, and basically depending on how many people would view the website, that would determine how fast it. Well, anyways, there was a scene in the film where he ended up hacking into somebody's car and took full control of it, and that's some scary stuff. Like, that almost makes you not want to get a car that's too up to date because of the modern technology. I mean, it's almost like sometimes it's better to have an older car, that way you don't have to worry about stuff like that, like the GPS systems and stuff. I mean, you just never know what people can do. JJ,
Reagan Gunn is asking for privacy. She is saying that people has destroyed her and her family's lives trying to accuse her of, doing this on purpose. After reading her story and listening to her talk, I feel sorry for this girl because you could tell she went out and gave it 100%. And, I watched some of her prelims and stuff. I think people, they cut clips out that made it a lot worse than what it was. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't great at all, but they made it a lot worse by cutting certain moments of the dancer out. I feel sorry for this lady, but right now, she's saying that her and her family are starting to get a lot of cyberbullying, and said that she's just asking for privacy right now. Said, she's not wanting to capitalize on the moment or anything. She just wanting to go back to her normal life, being a professor and teaching kids about hip hop in Australia.
So the story that I've heard, like, after doing some research, is apparently Australia didn't have like a governing body for the breakdancing.
Yeah.
And the story is, like, whenever she was doing this, like, she was basically she had other people that was trying to audition for the Olympics as well, and she was basically rigging it to where she could be the main person that competed. Like, anytime they had a preliminary event or a competition, like, she was rigging it to where people that were much better than her weren't able to compete in the Olympics, and she ended up doing it herself.
I ain't dug into that. Now, if that's the case, I don't feel sorry for her at all.
Yeah. I'll send you a couple of videos whenever we get off the show, and you can read about it. I'm not sure if that story is true, but apparently there was no governing sanction body, and she and her husband took control of that.
Huh. Well, that is neat. So definitely, JJ, you just sent me something over. What's going on with Aaron Hernandez?
Well, apparently FX is releasing a series on the Aaron Hernandez case. I mean, I know that Netflix did a documentary, a couple of years ago, but FX is making a dramatic series about it, which I just discovered this, and I think it's going to be interesting to see.
Well, that out of that football team, that 40 players on that football team got arrested at some time or another on that Florida Gator football team back in 2007, I think it was.
Yeah, that's insane. I could see, I mean, for them to be as dominant as they was, I mean, and to go through all that stuff, I mean, I think it's impressive.
It's impressive that 40 people went to jail off that team.
Absolutely not. For them to be able to sustain that level of dominance and still win in spite of all the trouble, the drama, and the negativity, I think it's impressive.
Yeah, Urban Meyer definitely done one of the best coaching jobs ever, being able to keep that ship going in the right direction.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So as you're sitting here, JJ, we are moving closer to football Friday night. Yesterday started digging into something, and I'm gonna have the exact answer for you tomorrow because okay. I don't know what the answer is right now. I know roundabout what I think it is, but did not, until started digging into it yesterday, did not know that how many schools have turf now. Grass fields is becoming very uncommon in the mountains now. Way more schools than you would think have turf. When I'm sitting here thinking in our coverage area, I'm going through teams like in Pike County. I think, I don't know if Phelps ever got turf. I don't think they did. So I'm going to say Phelps, Pike Central, and Pike County are the two. Phelps, somebody told me that they got turf, but I'm not sure if that's true. I've not been over there in the past year. So in the last calendar year at the football field, because the football field sets on up from the school, so it's not near the school. So I've not been at the football field in probably the last year, so I couldn't tell you there. Somebody might be able. I'm sure we got some Phelps people tuning in. Pike Central has grass. That's one school that I am very surprised still has a grass. I don't understand. If you go there and it's raining, it is muddy. Like I'm a grass guy. I would rather see football played on grass. I like the mud. I like I like when the elements affect the game.
Yeah, like even in the snow and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I like when it's raining and Belfry comes to town. Belfry's got a big advantage now because they're a running football team. It's going to affect the passing team, but and then I'm sitting here as I keep going on down. I'm trying to think of schools that have grass in the 14th region. Jenkins does. Not Central just got their turf, so that they just got the new turf thanks to the flood. Matter of fact, I got some pictures here of the new field. It looks immaculate.
Wow.
There's their new turf. Beautiful stadium there up in the holler there in Hyman. But somebody let us know how many schools Shelby Valley, they just got their new turf. Betsy Lane's got turf now. Prestonsburg's got turf. Floyd Central's got turf. Lawrence County now has turf. In West Virginia, let's see, Man, I think has grass. West Side, I think, has grass. I think everybody else, or Tug Valley has grass. So I would say in all of our coverage area, I'm going to say less than 8 schools have grass.
That's insane. I mean,
I'm going to find that out, and I'll let you know the exact answer tomorrow. But 8 schools in 3 regions and our West Virginia coverage area, is what I'm going to say the over-under. I'm going to set it at 8.
Yeah, it's interesting because whenever I was in high school, I mean, if you was a school that got AstroTurf, then like that was a really big thing because it's like Belfry. I think they was the first school to get it during that time because it was when they brought the brand new school in, and you didn't see it very often. And just to see how many schools have it now, I mean, it's very interesting.
Yeah, and like I said, I miss going to Pikeville, seeing the grass field. I miss Vipperman Stadium. I still wish, if I could make one thing happen, if somebody said, Darryl, what would you like to see and what would you make happen if you could in the mountains? I would love to see Belfry play 1 game a year at Vipperman Stadium and give people that memory. Yeah, I would love to see them have like a Hall of Fame game. I would like to see them play Pikeville there. I know that would never happen because that game means too much. But heck, you're dropping down to 2A. Play anybody. Play Pike Central there or something. But I would love to see that happen. Go back and play at Vipperman and get to see Death Valley rocking again.
I think that's a terrific idea. And I was just, as you were in the process of saying that, I was thinking in my head, like, what if they did the Pike County Bowl once, or like one good game a year? I mean, because I remember my sophomore year was the only year that I got a chance to go to the old Belfry High School, and there was nothing like going to Vipperman Stadium. I mean, just, walking from one end to the other end of the bleachers and just, the concrete bleachers that they had. Yeah. Just everything about that place. I mean, I'm like you, I miss it.
JJ, make sure, guys, today, Double Quick in Pikeville. Now, this is the one on Town Mountain Road. Come see our friend Trent Noah, August 20th, 4:30 to 6 p.m. Yesterday, he was in Whitesburg. I actually went down there and caught up with Trent, talked to Trent. I know Trent quite well from his time at Harlan County. Great kid. I hope everybody goes out and supports this kid and shows him the love he deserves. He's a UK Wildcat now, signed an NIL deal with Double Quick, and as you can see him with the Double Quick crew there, I want this to be a huge success for our friends at Double Quick and Trent Noah, because, you go there and you make sure this is a big hit. Double Quick's going to bring him back a lot more. And, we got a big opportunity for one of our mountain stars to be on the big stage. And, we got to make sure that he feels like he's a hero here in the mountains. So go out, support him. tell him D&D Sports sent you, and go get your free autograph, free pictures. You can do a meet and greet, ask him questions. Just a great kid, great people in charge there, the NIL, and also a great thing being done by our friends at Double Quick.
Absolutely.
Well, JJ, that brings us to the end of the show today. Guys, want to thank everybody for tuning in. It's been a fabulous show. Want to thank Coach Matt Chandler. Great interview. Very excited for Hazard Bulldog football coming up. Want to thank our sponsors, Punk's Tires in Virgin, Kentucky, Double Quick, Kentucky Mountain Health Alliance, Derek Bowley, Kentucky Farm Bureau. If you would like to sponsor the Start Up Morning Show, make sure you give us a call today. Guys, only reason we can do this is through our sponsors that you see on the show. So make sure you guys sponsor this. If you like this show and want to continue to start your morning with us each and every weekday morning from 8 to 10 in the morning, make sure that you tell your local businesses they need to sponsor the Start Up Morning Show. JJ, we got to get to work as we're going to go out, try to do some sales stuff, trying to get Football Friday night off with a bang week 1. I do know one game we are doing is the Shelby Valley Letcher Central game. We could be doing Hazard Martin County, still trying to get that done. But make sure that you guys reach out to your local businesses to help support D&D Sports Network. Guys, JJ Pruitt, Darryl McCoy, want to thank each and everybody for tuning in. And guys, till tomorrow, we'll see